Hello, my name is Barbara Field, and welcome to my channel, The Journey of Grief, Becoming Us Without Them. And the object of this channel is for people who are grieving to hopefully find people that are similar to them to help kind of normalize their experience and just make it okay that they are having grief and maybe some resources for how to work through that. And today I've invited Nora, the blind therapist. So be sure and after you watch this, check out her channel, and that will be in the show notes for you. And so, Nora, how about if you introduce us to you and tell us your story of grief?
Thank you, Barbara. Yes, as she said, I'm Nora, the blind therapist. I have a YouTube channel. Link in descriptions will be in the show notes. Please come and check that out. It's, fun stuff. I talk about mental health topics, and I have a podcast called Life Beyond Sight, and I talk about visual impairment. So my grief journey, I guess you can say, I'm going to talk about grief and how it relates to my visual impairment. So as we know, we do grieve, the loss of people, but I also, my previous supervisor was a certified grief expert, and she basically explained to me that every single type of loss needs to be grieved. Not just the loss of a person, but the loss of a relationship, a breakup or divorce, even a move can be grieved because you're grieving, your life changing from one place to another, from one stage of your life to another. So that is mainly where my grief journey would be, because I never really lost my sight like throughout my life, because it's pretty much it's I believe what I've had is pretty much congenital. So it's something called bilateral optic atrophy, and you can check on my channel if you to learn more about what that is. But basically, in a nutshell, it's my eyes are okay, my eyes are fine, but it's my optic nerve that is affected, so the processing between my eyes and my brain. So when I look at things, when I see things, it takes a moment for my brain to register what I'm looking at. So that's why I could never drive and things like that, because by the time I've seen a stop sign or stoplight, I haven't even noticed that it's there. So that's not very safe.
Terrible.
Yeah. So basically, like I said, I've had it my whole life, my entire life. Now I wasn't diagnosed when I was really young, so there's no way to know for sure, 100% sure that it's congenital. But I had an aunt who's been in my life my entire life, and she told me that she remembers when I was 3 or 4, and she would ask me to um grab her something from that table over there, and I'd just be looking around saying, what is it? Where? And then my eyes will see it a few moments later, and it'll be right in front of my face. So but because that has been the case my entire life, I didn't know any better. So I thought um, that's what normal sight was. I thought everyone saw that way. So throughout my life, I did struggle. I didn't do the best in, like elementary school, middle school, um, high school, things like that. And so after high school, after graduation, once I turned 18 and I was more independent, um, I started to realize, I started to wonder, why am I struggling so much? What's going on? So I knew something was up. And also, the same aunt that I told you about, she's been a very big part of my life, and she said there was something going on too. So I decided to reach out to an ophthalmologist, and ask them to test me out. And actually, the first ophthalmologist I had, they didn't find anything. They told me that my eyes were fine, and there was nothing going on. But then yeah, I was very upset, and I went back to my aunt, and she's like, "No, there's something going on." So um, she said I should get a second opinion, and so that's what I did. And I went back to another ophthalmologist, and then they found that there was something up. So they ordered more tests. And a bunch of tests, and sometime later, um, I had my answer. And so a lot of the transition and a lot of the work that I've put into, accommodate and really, um, come to grips with, like, knowing what um I had, and really working with it, and being able to make the best of my life, and really reach my full potential, has, come out of that. For example, 4 or 5 years ago, I began walking with a white cane, and that really helps me get around. I'm looking into um applying and getting a guide dog, which I did start the process a few years ago, but then um preparing for full licensure and everything, like, took over, and that basically took over my whole life. But now I am fully licensed now. Yay.
Hey,
um
congratulations.
Thank you. And so now I'm going back to doing all of those things that kind of got put on pause before. So yeah, a lot of the things I would say in my mid 20s till now pretty much has been pretty much just relearning my life, and learning how to basically live my best life.
That seems very complicated.
Yeah. Yeah, it has been. It's been quite a journey. It's been a really big journey, a lot of things going on, a lot of things happening, a lot of steps taken. And I will say, and I do explain this on my channel too, but I will say that and my video editor, who is the co-host of my podcast, and I have had a bunch of other visually impaired folks say this too. Like, in the beginning, like when we're first kind of finding out and first trying to work with it, a lot of us might be in, I guess, denial, so to speak, or we want to believe, like, there's nothing wrong with us, like, we're fine, like, we have normal vision, we can see fine. So for a big part of my life, that's why I didn't start until 4 or 5 years ago, but for a big part of my life, I did not use my white cane, I did not use my magnifiers. So I had some trouble. I had some issues, but I just wanted to, get around and function as, a normally sighted person. Um, but then I did come to a point in my life, and it it was when a lot of things were happening, definitely, a lot of things that I don't really want to go into, let's just say, like, that was a grief too, of a very big relationship in my life was ending, and I was going through a lot of transitions when I decided, you know what, it's time. Um I do have struggles like with my vision. I do have these, but then there are also these things that I can use to help me. So now I do use my white cane. I have completely embraced my identity as, Nora, the blind therapist. And I want to kind of work as a, kind of sounding board or as an advocate for, people who are struggling too, and being able to help find resources because they are out there. Because, yeah, I do want to say that there is nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with anyone. It's just, because I'm visually impaired, but I also have ADHD. So there's just different ways of thinking, different ways of seeing, different ways of viewing the world, different ways of functioning within the world. But um, but yeah, just with a little bit of resources, just with a little bit of help, we can do things just as well, or maybe even better than some people.
Well, you definitely, and that is such a great point. I'm using the word wrong is is not really even accurate. It's just
Yeah,
there's your vision functions differently than typical, but it functions.
yeah,
And and even for someone who has no sight at all, other things are strengthened. But still, it's gotta suck.
yeah.
How have you, has someone helped you to formally go through the grief process to give yourself permission to acknowledge there is one?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say it was a formal grief process because I mean I will say that until I started working with my previous therapist, I don't think I understood really what grief was and all of the intricacies and everything that goes into it. But I definitely will say throughout this whole, process, I have gone through the grief process. Like I have been in and out of therapy for the last 10 years and consistently, like weekly to um every other week, like therapy for the last 4 or 5 years. But I have been through all of those stages and all of those seasons to, like I mentioned earlier, the denial, like, oh, I don't have anything, I'm fine, I'm normally sighted, I'm fine, to just being angry, like, why can't I do things like other
Yeah.
people? Why is this so hard? Um, to just everything. So I've been through the complete gambit um of emotions. I've done the work. Um and I won't say, it's perfect now because like sometimes things happen, like sometimes things will go wrong with, transportation or certain things, and I'll be like, oh man, that sucks. But but honestly, like, that is life. Like it's a growing and learning process, and things will never be 100%. But as long as you can um, do what you need to do and do the best that you can, that's honestly the most you can do.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about, like you said, while you may have deficits in one area, you have strengths in another. So what are kind of like, I had to accept but now I realize I can. So what are your, I've had to accept that I'll never, I've had to accept that I can't. And at the same time, what I can do and what I am able to.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the most prominent thing that stands out right now is the transportation. I will say when I was about 19, my dad did try to teach me how to drive, and I was learning and practicing for about 4 years, and I never got any better. I should have probably known what was going on. But yeah, um I took the written test, and I had no trouble passing that. But when it came to behind the wheel, there were times when even before I got out of the parking lot, they were like, "Oh, go back. You it's done." So I failed that so many times. And I mean, yeah, definitely that was hard and that sucked. But it's great because I definitely now fully take advantage of all of the resources I can. And if I don't know about any, I will reach out and look. Like I was working with DOR for a while, which stands for the Department of Rehabilitation, and they help with they're pretty much like the middleman, and they connect you with different resources. So they connected me with the Sacramento Regional Transit, the paratransit services, which is a bus for the elderly and people with disabilities. And that has helped me really with transportation and getting around. And also like the ride shares, like so many different like ride shares that they have nowadays, like Uber, Lyft. I take a lot of Lyft. Although I do take paratransit a lot more because their schedules might be kind of like weird, because sometimes they'll, well, not sometimes, a lot of times they will be late. So you don't always know exactly when you're going to get there, but they also are really like cost effective versus like $5 versus Lyft to get from here to work would be anywhere from $15 to $20, for example. But I mean, yeah, finding other ways and resources that are available to you, and definitely it does take work. I've had to reach out and talk to people, like do my own research and find those resources. So that's why I started my podcast, started my YouTube channel. I want to be there to be able to um, be that advocate and get my voice out and help people like me who are struggling and have struggled, to help them find um, their resources and help them find what will help, and help them um, come to terms with what's going on, whether it's to vent or process, or because you do go through the entire wide range of like what's going on with me, to helping them like explore and navigate what's happening.
It's so great that you've um, done so much work to turn this around and make your struggle a source of strength and inspiration for other people. You could just you finally got your license, you could just go and be a therapist and
Yeah.
the world take care of itself. But you put a lot of time and energy into offering resources to other people and
Yeah.
helping normalize their experience. It's very cool that you make yourself vulnerable so that other people can have opportunities. That's neat.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I mean, yeah, definitely I am doing that too. Like now that I have gotten licensed, I am um leaving the practice that I'm at just because the main sole purpose of her practice, it is her sole proprietorship, and she does hire associates. So now that I'm licensed, I'm going off and um paneling with the insurance companies and building my own practice. But I'm also never going to leave behind like where my roots are as the blind therapist. And I'm going to continue to be that advocate. I'm going to continue to work on my podcast, work on my YouTube channel, and I'm going to continue to um yeah, just speak up and speak out.
So what are the sort of, are there like relational ways, are there ways in which your relationships with people, any kinds of people, are affected by having to do the extra step from your visual impairment?
Yeah, I mean, being someone with a visual impairment, I'm not really sure where it comes from. I think a lot of it is just a genetic mutation, and I just kind of won that, genetic lottery. And I think I was told at one time that when I received my first diagnosis that I have something that only like 3% of the population has. So, I won that lottery. But honestly, so since a lot of people don't have have it as well, it's I have heard from a lot of people, a lot of my friends and family that they don't really quite, 100% understand, how my vision works and whatnot. And I always tell them, it's okay not to understand. Like, I don't expect you to. But I really appreciate um, when people are helpful. I will tell you how much I appreciate, like, especially ever since I've been using my white cane, people have been so helpful. I've literally had people stop stop their cars and get out and ask me if I needed help.
Oh,
And that is so sweet. But I'll like going back to like I'll tell my relationships, I'll tell my friends and family, like as long as you approach it with a sense of, curiosity and ask questions. I always love questions. I love answering questions because I never want people to guess or assume they know what's going on or how this is or how that is. So I've had people, I've had friends, family, I've had Lyft drivers, ask me, do you mind if I ask you this question or if I ask you about your visual impairment? And I'll say, yes, yes, of course, I love that. Because I am going to tell you, like, I'm going to tell you what I can and cannot do, what I need help with when, I'm okay. I will tell you. So that has been, I guess, the biggest thing with my relationships, like people around me, my friends and family, knowing um what's going on with me, knowing that I have a visual impairment, and making that space for me to, be able to work around it, be able to work with it, and also finding, the best ways to, you know, help me. And um because yeah, people in my life, my friends, family, my roommate, um they'll say like, I really want to help you, but I don't really know the best ways to help you. And I'll say, I'll let you know. But I appreciate all the help you do give me. And yeah, so I think that's one of the biggest ways that it has affected my relationship. It's not just myself, but the people around me adjusting to um what's going on with my vision, and yeah,
Yeah,
finding the best ways to do so.
that would be awkward for people trying to find that line between treating you like a baby and ignoring obvious needs, like
Yeah.
when when to help, when to stay back, when to offer, when to trust. That seems like that would be the awkward piece.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I in turn too definitely will keep that in mind and will recognize it. Yeah, like you said, keeping that balance, like not wanting to do too much, know when to push and when to hold back, when to really help versus when to just let me do my thing. And yeah, that's why I said, if you're not, if you don't know for sure, um, just ask. Like I know it's hard sometimes, and hopefully by watching this and being able to talk to me, and um we can both kind of explore and work through that awkwardness and
Great.
push through the awkwardness. Yeah.
So I really, really, really appreciate you doing this and talking about all of this with me. And at the end of my videos, I always ask people for 1 minute wisdom. If people didn't watch the whole video, but just got one important thing from you, what's the thing you hope that people would carry out of this interview about grief as it relates to your world?
um Pretty much to reiterate, I do have my visual impairment, and I do have ADHD, but honestly, I don't, view it as much as a disability or impairment, even though it is, but I view it as just a different way of learning, different way of thinking, different way of seeing, different way of working within the world, and just being able to, through resourcing and accommodations and adapting, um, we can all uh, work to be just as good as anybody else, or even better. And yeah, I'm here to help. I'm here to advocate. Yeah, my YouTube channel and my podcasts are here to help. And yeah, thank you so much, Barbara, for having me on here. It was such a pleasure, and I had a great time talking with you today.
Me too. And thank you. And I think I will be seeing you in person soon.
Yeah, yeah. I'm always at those therapy dinners every